everybody. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Joey Evans.
And today we're taking a look at Battle of the Bulge, Axis and Allies. Now, this is from Renegade Games.
Yep.
It is a reprint of the original game from Avalon Hill. I don't actually know much of the changes because I played some of the Axis and Allies that came out back then, Guadalcanal and things like that, but I had not played this one in particular. But I have sad and terrifying news for you all.
Uh-oh.
Joseph Evans has never played the OG Axis and Allies.
I have not. I played that Battle for the Deep, which is just barely Axis and Allies.
Yeah, well, this one's also a huge change from Axis and Allies.
Yes.
Neither of us would be considered heavy war gamers. In fact, I had other sad news. Well, I guess it's a sad news with a happy ending, is that Joey didn't even know anything about the Battle of the Bulge.
Found out quickly, by the way.
But you learned something from playing this game.
Yes.
For real.
Yes, I agree. So I came at this like not
Your
knowing
Battle
much.
of the Bulge was always a weight joke.
It really was. I'd heard it a lot. Trust me, I've heard it a lot. But it was my first time in the fray into this.
All right, so we're going to go over some of the rules for it, and we'll be right back. So here's the whole map, and you can see the forces are arrayed on the outside of the map. But I wanted to point out a few things on the map. For the German player to win, within 8 turns, they need to capture 24 points worth of area cities on the map. So you can see these, that's 7 points right there in the middle. And there's a few features of the map. You'll see some of these lines. Only infantry can cross those. Vehicles have to cross on roads. So these lines kind of show where the rivers might be. Mostly, and importantly over here, you can see this line here. This shows the front line, and you have a bunch of pieces because as the game goes by, as the Germans push forward, you're going to show what they capture. Now, the Germans are going to do very well in the first turn. They're going to get to attack. The Allies kind of just sit there and take it, and you'll see their forces are quite a bit more. Each chip underneath something shows that there's more than one, so you can see, and this one hex right here, there are 4 tanks, an artillery, and a soldier. So they're going to come on, but as the game progresses, there's going to be more Ally reinforcements coming in from both the Americans and the UK. On the side of the board over here is a turn tracker. You'll keep track. On the last 4 turns, there will be some airplane combat. We're not going to really get into that, but there are airplanes with fighters and bombers. And that will then, if you get through this airplane combat, you'll be able to go around and attack different areas on the board. But then players are going to be using these supply tokens. They're supply tokens. You're going to be, both sides will be adding supply tokens, and it can use little trucks to drive around the board and deliver these supply tokens. But a supply token allows, you can spend one, so they have 8 here. You can spend one to attack with an adjacent hex or the same hex that you're in, and your players will take turns going back and forth attacking. When you attack somebody, you'll be using combat strips. So let's say I'm attacking 2 soldiers, 1 tank, and an artillery, and there's also, let's say, some supplies there. You're going to get attack power, which is a certain number of dice for what you're attacking. Artillery give 3, tanks give 2, infantry give 1. So let's say I'm hitting with 5. I'm then going to be rolling the dice and trying to get 6s or higher. Each hit that you get, so basically 50%, you will then re-roll these dice, and you're going to place these hits. So this is 1. And another 1. I just rolled 3 1s. That is a weird number to show for demonstrations. Let's re-roll these. 4, 7, and 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The first hit goes on artillery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If there's 2 hits on something, you've destroyed it. If there is 1 hit on something, you force it to retreat. And that's basically how an attack works. After both sides have done their attacks and units just start getting blown off the board, you'll be able to use supplies again to move forward. Trucks can move artillery, trucks can move infantry and supplies. If you have them, you'll reform the line. And in fact, the book gives you, this is the reason that it's called the Battle of the Bulge, the book shows you of what the actual advance of the Germans was, and that is where that line will eventually grow out to be. So if the Germans ever get 24 points, they're going to win. If they do not by the end of 8 turns, the Allies win. And so that's kind of a very basic idea of how the game plays. So this is a game that, if you've not played war game scenarios like this before, it might throw you off a bit in the sense of it's very asymmetrical. The Germans come in with so much power,
like it feels like triple the strength of the Allies, but the Allies just keep bringing more and more. So the Axis has to go as far and as fast as they can, and it's playing one side or the other is going to be very unique. And there's going to be things like, well, you always want to do this, I suppose. The more you play, like,
right.
well, you always want to capture this town, and the Allies, you definitely want to keep this one from being captured. Things like that.
Yeah, I think what shows. I mean, first of all, like I said, like he said, I haven't played the system, so that whole way it moves. It's very intriguing, because if you're Axis, you got to get in there quick before the planes come out, That type of stuff is...
I mean, it just gets worse and worse.
It does.
It's very similar to Axis and Allies Pacific in that way, where Japan has to hit on America as hard as they can before America comes back. That being said, there's not a lot of crossover between this game and the original Axis and Allies, other than you want to roll low numbers. I think in the overview I even said roll 6 or higher, or whatever. It's actually you want to roll low. You've always want to roll low. But other than that, you're rolling 12-sided dice here, you're 12-sided dice. There's a way for the units to get hit. It's just a very different system. The plastic pieces are the same, and that is the main crossover.
I like the aspect of hitting the troops and stuff because you don't want to take out their supplies, which the other person, they might get demolished, but if you take out all the supplies, they're kind of laughing too. Like there's nothing for you to get.
Yeah, it teaches you, though, the importance of logistics.
Yes, big time.
I run my tanks all the way up here. Where's the supplies? My tanks are going to sit there, and that's a very realistic thing.
It really is, and it's funny how this is scenario-based, where you're like, I'm going to send them up just to capture this, and then they're stuck. You know, I just hope I get to win before we shift.
This is kind of a weird one for me to rate because I like it.
Yeah.
I just don't know how often I would play it on a personal level. It's, what does it say on the side box? I think it's at 2 to 4 hours. No, 3 to 4 hours.
Wow, really?
But I think it's closer to 2 to 4 hours because the Axis could win early if you're not careful.
Yes.
It takes a bit to set up. Minor component issues I have. I wish they had included some more plastic pieces, at least for tanks. A tank on a chip bugs me that it's 2 tanks.
Right.
And I don't know yet if I wrap my head around the very, very wonky hit allocation rolls. Where you pull those strips from underneath the board. That's kind of cool.
You shift around.
That. And then you roll the dice and you shift, and it's like, that's what got hit. Like old Axis and Allies, I hit you, and you're like, I'm losing troops. And troops. Oh, my troops are gone. Now I lose tanks. And I get that. It works. It works, right? It doesn't. It's just hard for me to be like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's what I hit.
It adds such even more of a luck element than just a die rolls.
Which I guess is in war, right? So there's that. And the attacking symbols, like artillery give you 3, tanks give you 2, infantry give you 1.
Like.
That's easy.
It's
you
quick.
roll the dice and you get to roll dice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's weird for me. I think I'm going to give it a 7. I enjoy it. I'd play it again for sure. There's a little bit of fiddly that moving the line I don't like. It looks cool having the line, but then taking those pieces off each turn and rebuilding them out, that takes some work. I think when it says that it's 3 to 4 hours, an hour of that is moving pieces around.
Right.
But then there's other things I do like. I like the little plastic pieces. I like the reinforcement boards have your pieces on them so you know what to bring in. And I love the historical thing. Mm-hmm. While grog nerds, heavy war gamers would be like, this is a light war game and all. This is the amount most of us can handle, and yet it feels like I'm making actual real strategic decisions.
It really does. And I think you talk about themes so much in games. This one really has it. It is frustrating to kind of put out that line every time, but that bulge becomes very prominent when you do put it out. You're like, I'm really bulging through. And it's like, but then the problem is with anything, they can collapse behind you. What's hard for me to wrap my head around is the fact this is scenario-based because you can push out far enough to know I'm not going to win this.
Yes.
I've just got to win this scenario. So I'm coming into 7 as well because this was very interesting for me. I love seeing that really Battle of the Bulge happen for me. And then again, visually, you can see what's coming next for you and them. You've got a timer in the Allies where you've got to survive until you can get reinforcements. And Axis, it's like I've got to win before they get their reinforcements. I really like that give and take.
All right, well, there you go, folks. That is Axis and Allies Battle of the Bulge. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Joey Evans.
We really should lose weight.
We need to.
Yeah.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for that video. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, make sure you check out what's happening where I'll cover an app on an iOS or a Switch device, and you can check it out along with me. Thanks very much. You've been watching The Dice Tower.